Planning Commission meeting for Thursday, February 22nd to order. Verification of agenda posting, please.
Yes, good evening. The agenda for the City of Hollister Planning Commission was posted on Friday, February 16th at 2:35 p.m.
All right, and I will go ahead and lead in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, let's do roll call, please.
Commissioner Huboy.
Here.
Chairperson Torres.
Here.
Commissioner Lenore is absent. Commissioner Valdiva.
Here.
Commissioner Munzer is absent.
All right. We have next item, the approval of minutes for January 25th, 2018. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion.
Before, I did have a comment. It's very minor, but I was not here for January 25th. But when I went through the minutes, it says in action that I seconded the the motion for adjournment. So I have to say that. There's a little correction. Okay.
We'll make that correction.
Obviously, I couldn't do that if I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Okay, move to approve as corrected.
Move it.
Okay.
And I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, abstains. All right. Communication from public on items not listed on the agenda. This is a time for anyone in the audience to speak on any item not on the agenda and with a subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. When the Planning Commission calls your name, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and speak to the Commission. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Please note that state law prohibits the Planning Commission from discussing or taking actions on any item not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards, Brian?
We do, Chairperson Torres, but they're for agenda item number 2.
Number 2. All right. We will then move right into the public hearing items. Item number 1, pre-zone and annexation, San Benito High School. San Benito High School is requesting the Planning Commission recommendation of approval to the City Council for the pre-zoning into the public facility zoning district of the City of Hollister of 2 adjacent lots consisting of 57.25 acres that currently serve as the San Benito High School's southern campus, contiguous with the rest of the high school campus in the city. The high school properties are located south of Nash Road and west of San Benito Street, further identified as San Benito County Assessor's Parcel Number 020-170-042, 020-170-043, and CEQA is categorically exempt. Abraham.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you had mentioned, the San Benito High School is proposing a pre-zone for annexation of a portion of San Benito High School. Most of the high school, or a big area of the high school, is within the city of Hollister city limits. However, as you know, the high school started out many years ago, and it started out in the county of San Benito, and not all of the high school is actually within the city limits. A portion of about 57 acres in the southern campus, south of Nash Road and west of San Benito Street, is actually within the outside of the San Benito County Incorporated area, basically outside of the city limits. However, it is within the sphere of influence of the city of Hollister, and as you know, the sphere of influence is an area that is marked and recognized by the city of Hollister that is ripe for potential growth, meaning that there are services in the area, stormwater, water, sewer in the vicinity. And so the high school is asking for the annexation of 2 properties that consist of a total of 57.25 acres. And again, they're west of San Benito Street Extension and south of Nash Road. In the screen, you can see that's a little bit better than on the parcel map provided on the screen, but the area there until light baby blue is one of the parcels, and most of what's there along Nash Road are classrooms. There's also a gym, sports fields, the football field, soccer field, a parking lot, and then a little bit more to the west, you will find some additional parking and the tennis courts. This is an aerial view. The area is essentially between San Benito Street, and it goes all the way to the west towards fronting Suter Street, where Nash meets on Suter. So it's about 57 acres that the San Benito High School is proposing to pre-zone for annexation, and essentially the reason behind that is for uniformity of support services for the entire school. So it could be all under one jurisdiction. We feel that was long overdue, and we're happy that the school has submitted their pre-zone application for annexation. The City Council actually saw this item. For pre-zonings, the first step would be to go before the City Council and essentially request an approval for initiation of pre-zone. The initiation of pre-zone is provided to the City Council so that the City Council can make a determination whether or not the area should be and can be pre-zoned and annexed into the city. And again, they take into consideration the proximity of the city limits to the area of annexation, and they take into consideration, amongst other things, services for the area, which are in the vicinity. And in December, at the December 18th City Council meeting, the City Council approved Resolution 2017-329, essentially indicating that the area was good for pre-zone. And so with that, the applicant submitted a pre-zone application to the City of Hollister Development Services for analysis of the site. It's been determined that it's categorically exempt because the property is an existing facility where there's existing uses already on the site, and therefore it is in it because it's going to be zoned for public facilities as well. So therefore, it is brought before you today for a recommendation of approval for the pre-zoning of the property to the City Council. Pending your approval tonight, the item will go before the City Council at the March 19th City Council meeting for the first reading of the ordinance. And if the first reading is approved, then for the April 2nd City Council meeting for the adoption of the ordinance of the pre-zone. And at that point, then it will be sent to LAFCO for annexation of territory.
Abraham, you said categorically exempt.
That's correct.
Categorically exempt from what?
From the California Environmental Quality Act.
Because of the existing buildings?
Because of the existing facilities. It's under the category of existing facilities. And yes. So
okay.
Under CEQA. That's correct. Yes. Yeah, you're welcome. And with that, staff recommends the Planning Commission review the applicant's request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal, and consider recommending approval of pre-zone application 2017-3 to the City Council, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions? No. All right. With that, we'll open it up for public comment at 6:07. Do you have any speaker cards on this item, Brad?
We do not.
None. All right, we'll close it at 6:08 and bring it back to the commission. What is the pleasure of the commission on this item?
Do you want a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the pre-zone application 2017-3. So you can go to the City Council.
Resolution 2018-6.
Yeah.
2018-6. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And item moves. Passes. Let's move down to item number 2. All right. Conditional use permit 2017-20. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit 2017-20 to allow for a women's adult care facility in an existing building located at 335 6th Street within the downtown mixed-use district, further identified as San Benito County Assessor's Parcel Number 054-050-005. The project would be licensed by the Department of Health Care Services in the state of California, proposing a 12-bed women's care facility, and CEQA is categorically exempt. Abraham. Christian.
Thank you. As you mentioned, the applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit 2017-20 to allow for a woman's adult care facility in an existing building located at 335 6th Street within the downtown mixed-use zoning district. Further identified as San Benito County Assessor's Parcel Number 054-050-005. The project will be licensed by the Department of Health Care Services in the state of California, proposing a 12-bed women's care facility with hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 5 days a week, And I just want to make sure that I make this clear. Those hours of operations will be only for admin. They're actually going to be a 24/7 facility. The floor plan includes areas designated for detoxification, group rooms, child care rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchen, and office space. The adult care facility will average 50 women each year with lengths of stay between 30 days to 150 days. Candidates for admission must be 18 years of age or older. An assessment is conducted by the council staff to determine appropriateness for social model treatment services. Individuals requiring higher level of care and or medical detox are referred to an appropriate agency or hospital. Sun Street Centers focuses on developing recovery skills based on 12 core functions, including screening, intake orientation, assessment, treatment plans, referral services, record keeping, and consulting with other professionals. Section 17.18.060 of the Hollister Municipal Code requires that care homes provide one parking space for each employee and one parking space.
Layout, landscape plan, or parking? No
That is
changes to
correct.
the building at all as well?
And there's no changes whatsoever.
Okay. Any other questions?
It's a historic building. They will have to do some changes to the ADA, and that's one of the requirements, and that's also on the draft resolution as well.
Okay, perfect. All right, Dave, did you have any questions on this item?
No, it's just that they're accessing from the parking from Brown's Alley.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh.
And they're proposing a new ADA access ramp on the side of the structure, right? Is that new?
I believe it's already there because
That's
of the
already there.
previous land use.
Okay. All right, I don't have any questions on this at this time.
Okay. With that, we will open up for public comment at 6:14. Speaker cards, Brian?
Valerie Smith.
Hi, I'm Valerie Smith. I live at 6900 F Street in Tres Pinos. And I just wanted to tell you why I'm interested in this project. I met Anna, the CEO, a couple of years ago and learned about what they were doing with women's residential programs. I raised a nephew for a couple of years who had a mother addicted. And I can't help thinking that with this program, maybe it would have helped her. So I've really bonded with Anna, and these people are passionate. They're good with what they do in the social model, and they've got a lot to say, and so I'm really in favor for it, and hope you guys will be too. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, Brian?
Marciano Huerta.
Hello, and thanks for having us. My name is Marciano Huerta. I live in Salinas. I'm the Chief Program Officer for Sun Street Centers, and honored to be here. And obviously, I'm advocating in support for the conditional use permit. And so, I want to say Sun Street Centers is the #1 recovery program in Monterey County, and I mean that. And we've been providing substance use disorder recovery services for over a half a century, and that counts for something. And we learned a few things along the way. We found scientific, evidence-based research methods of what really works. So I'll give you a quick example. Sun Street Centers typically offers outpatient services to clients after they have successfully completed our residential program. After that, we offer to our clients an opportunity to stay at our sober living environments. And that's an important and key factor in promoting longevity and sobriety. And we're very meticulous about that. And we understand and know the keys to promoting a prosperous life in recovery. So we love what we do. We're very passionate. Also, there's going to be other speakers, so I'm not going to overdo it, but I'm very honored to say that I am the Chief Program Officer for such a great organization because about 13 years plus ago, I actually enrolled in Sun Street Centers and am a product of what Sun Street Centers offers, and it promotes safe and healthy communities because 13 plus years ago, I was not one of those law-abiding citizens that most people would be proud to introduce to other people. So I'll leave with that. I just want to thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have just a question on the procedures for Sun Care Center?
I'm sorry.
Maybe you could answer this question,
Sure.
or it could be a staff question. It's just a procedural question.
Yes.
From the staff report, that the admin would be there from what hours? 9 to 5? Or 8 to
8 to
5?
5.
8 to 5. So then what happens afterwards if there's some needs or some security issues? How are those issues addressed?
Well, there will still be staff on duty after 5 o'clock,
Okay.
and they will be trained accordingly to protocol to whatever issues occur.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
have
Thank you.
I have a question for him too. I have a question for you.
Marciano?
Yes.
So the ladies are going to be, the women are going to be sleeping there like 24 hours in the facility?
Yes.
Oh, okay, because 9 to 5 kind of threw me there.
It's
Also, I'm assuming that you're going to, because you're probably going to be dealing with medication and all that, and you're going to be licensed under the state licensing.
absolutely.
Are you going to be having professional people working in the facility to make sure they're qualified to provide that service?
All of our employees are registered and certified via the credentialing organizations for the state of California.
Oh,
So
okay.
absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next speaker, Brian.
Anna Faglia.
Hi, I'm Anna Folia. I'm the CEO of Sun Street Centers, and I live at 961 Plum Court in Hollister. We've been here now 2 years in San Benito. We were invited in by San Benito County Behavioral Health and Probation Department to help support the sober living environment for men, and then we opened a sober living environment for women. So those have both been opened for 2 years. The women were living in that house that we were able to purchase thanks to a lot of fundraising from local residents and we were able to get the down payment to purchase it. And now we're making our mortgage payments. And so those women have now moved into a third sober living house, and we hope to turn this house into a treatment center. So it's a 90-day treatment center for women. It's open 24/7. The 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, is only for intake if you want to refer someone. But the program is 24/7. It's staffed 24/7, and it's staffed with the certified Department of Healthcare Service counselors. We have a medical director that works with the hospital, and then we have a clinical director that reviews all the cases and does quality assurances and things like that. I just want to say that our facility it's not a medical model. It's a social model of recovery where one woman helps another woman into recovery. So all of our staff are in recovery that are helping the women learn what it is to live a life of recovery. And that it's the only program of its kind. It's the first program of its kind in our county. So right now, if a woman is low income or no income or on Medi-Cal, she's got to be sent to San Jose or Santa Cruz or Salinas. And that's just not right. A lot of women won't take that service if they don't have their support system around them. So I think it's very important for our city and for our county, and I hope you support us. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one question. How long has then Sun
Street
Care
Centers.
How long have you been?
50 years this year.
50 years.
So we actually have been serving Hollister residents at our men's residential in Salinas, and then we have a homeless program for women and children that have completed treatment at Pueblo del Mar and Marina. So people here have to come there, spend their time, and then try and relocate back to their families. But yeah, we've been around for 50 years. And it was started by a husband and wife, a man in recovery, Martin Dodd, and his wife, Nancy, felt it was really important to support the whole family. She brought the first Al-Anon into Salinas, and ever since then, we try to support the children, the spouses, the family members. So,
Great.
thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gary Haney.
Hello, thank you. My name is Gary Haney. I live at 1000 West Street, Hollister. I'm here to support Sun Street Centers. I think I, too, am a recovering addict. I was a big burden on the city of Hollister for many, many years. Today, I'm an asset to the city. I pay over $20,000 in property taxes. I hire a lot of the city, a lot of our community people. We need Sun Street Center in our community. They are one of the most prestigious organizations in the recovery community in Northern California in a lot of ways. For them to be willing to come spend the money they've spent for our town of Hollister is a privilege and an honor. It is not something that we should take lightly for them to, or for us to abandon the women and children of our community. I just don't feel, for me being, I moved to Hollister because of the recovery community that is here. And to think that that we could turn away such a prestigious company or such a prestigious organization, I think is I don't just think it's good practice. I support this with all my heart. I'm very passionate about the recovery community in our area, and this is a perfect location. It's within walking distance to the shops. It's within walking distance to the meetings that we have. It's within walking distance to everything. The support that the recovery community has and that they can have with us is just, it's a very unique place that this is. And the location is perfect. Everything about this is just, we don't get this too often. And for Sun Street to be willing to come here, I think is just a huge asset and just we don't get these opportunities very much. And for me to be in the recovery community and to not see this happen would be very shameful, I think, for the community as a whole. I really am supportive of this, and I think that I would like to have your support also. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Right.
Patricia Garza.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I live at 545 Tiffany Drive here in Hollister. I've been a resident for over 50 years. I too am in recovery. I have over 22 years clean. And when I had to get clean, I had to leave my community. And it was very scared to go to another county, not knowing nobody, not knowing what to do. I'm in support for this program to be here. There are so many women that need this in this community, and they don't want to leave town. I'm about to cry. I'm grateful for Sun Street to open up their doors to Hollister and be here. I have a daughter that's in recovery and is benefiting the sober living environment that they have opened up. I'm very grateful to be also an employee for Sun Street Centers, that they can take a next criminal who has changed their life around and given me the opportunity to work for them. And I believe that our company will also be able to do this to many women and their kids, give them an opportunity to have mom in their life, because I didn't get to have my kids in my life. When I was in treatment for 3 years, I couldn't have them in my life because I was out of town and it wasn't a CPS case. I couldn't have them where I was at. And in this place will allow us to have our children here. So I'm very in support, and I hope you agree with us also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Reed.
Hi, my name is Steve Reed. I live at 223 Riker Terrace in Salinas. I also work for behavioral health here in San Benito County. When a couple of years ago, when we were in search of, we were withdrawing the contract from the company that we were working with in sober livings, and we were looking for a new organization to start contracting with. Sun Street Centers was mentioned, and The director did quite a bit of homework and research, and then pursued Sun Street to come into Hollister and open up their sober livings. Anna then talked about, at that time, she said, man, I would like to open up a residential for women and children. And this is a very big gap in services. We're able to offer outpatient here, but everything else has to be referred out, and all of those programs are out of county. So by having this type of a residential program here, it is going to offer a service to the county and to the city that we currently don't have. And quite honestly, when you look at the books in residential facilities, there's nobody making a whole lot of money. And for a company to be willing to say that, look, we'll come in and we'll take care of this and we'll do this is something that, you know, for us, we need to be grateful for, because women and children is a displaced group. They're not, you know, it's a very difficult task to work with them because there are so many issues that come up in treatment. And I just think that for Sun Street to be willing to come to Hollister and to be willing to take on this this task, I know for me, I'm 100% in support of this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other speaker reports, Brian?
No. That's it.
Okay. We will close public comment period at 6:28 and bring it back to the commission. Any comments, questions?
I think that, you know, what we're looking at here for the conditional use is the use itself for a residential care facility with integrated services. I think is pretty rare for this area. I think there certainly is a community need for it, and I would be 100% in support of it, just based on the need. Now, in terms of location and the location to city services and the downtown, I think that from a location standpoint, I think that's also, it's a good location. So I would be in support of this project.
Okay.
From location and also for the need standpoint.
Perfect. Any additional comments?
I also support your program. I think it's wonderful that there's going to be something available for the folk, for the women in this community and county, because we don't have that many services here, and a lot of people can go out, like you were saying. So I support the resolution. Do you need a motion?
If you want to
motion?
go ahead and
Okay.
do a motion, sure.
So I'll make a motion to approve the use permit number 2017-20, subject to the findings and condition contained in the draft resolution.
Okay, and that's PC Resolution 2018-7, correct?
You got it.
I second that, and also just as a further discussion on that motion, I just want to thank you for all the good work that you're doing.
Likewise. Thank you. And so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right. We will now move to item number 3. Extension of tentative map 2016-2. Coots, the applicant is requesting the Planning Commission approval of a tentative map extension. On May 4, 2016, the City of Hollister Planning Commission approved tentative map 2016-2 for a major subdivision totaling a total of 19 units with one detention basin lot encompassing approximately 4.34 acres in the R1 LPZ's low-density residential performance overlay zone. The project site is located south of Hillcrest Road and east of El Cerro Drive, APN 020-120-141 and 020-120-143. Pursuant to Planning Commission Resolution 2016-15, tentative map 2016-2 shall expire on May 4th, 2018. On January 3rd, 2018, the applicant filed for an extension, and CEQA is mitigated negative declaration. Abraham.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Torres. As you mentioned, the applicant is requesting an extension pursuant to the Subdivision Map Act and also pursuant to the City of Hollister Municipal Code. The applicant can receive up to a 1-year extension for an approved subdivision or tentative map. The applicant, as you mentioned, received Planning Commission approval for a tentative map, approximately 4.34 acre site on two lots located south of Hillcrest Road and east of El Cerro Drive, for a total of 19 single-family residential units and one approximately 10,000 square feet detention pond. At that time, the property was also going through an annexation process. That area was considered to be a county island, unincorporated area, and the Planning Commission City Council adopted a pre-zone for the property, and LAFCO since has annexed the property. At that point, when the pre-zone is approved, the city can move forward with the tentative map. However, no improvements can be done until LAFCO annexes. The Planning Commission did approve a tentative map, and since then, the property has been annexed into the city of Hollister. The property is zoned R1, Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone, and the site, as you can see, there is no park on the site. And just to refresh your memory a little bit, one of the reasons why there was no park on the site, because I know that Planning Commission, City Council is really adamant about open space, where it's a given. You've made it very clear we want to see more open space, and one of the things that the city is doing right now is an update of the Parks Master Plan. We want to make sure that we get the community input and have a good Parks Master Plan, updated Parks Master Plan. One of the reasons why Planning Commission was okay of not including a larger park in this area was due to the proximity of the project site to Las Brisas Park. As you can see, Las Brisas Park it's about a tenth of a mile to the existing site, and so the Planning Commission decided that instead of dedicating land to the area and improving, that because of its proximity to Las Brisas Park and also due to the proximity to Veterans Memorial Park, we would rather take the impact fees for the Quimby land acquisition and also for the park development fees, and then have those funds to either improve these parks or create another park for the city of Hollister. And so upon your decision of extending the tentative map for an additional year, you can either approve it as is with the conditions as stated on the resolution back in 2016. You can amend the conditions. You can make changes to the project, to the conditions in the project, or you can deny the extension, and May 4th would be essentially the expiration. The city in your draft resolution has the recommendation of approving the extension for 1 year, and we do have some additional conditions that were a part of your resolution. But before we get into those, one of the things that we want to address in this extension request is the approximately 10,000 square foot detention area that's located just east of the El Cerro Drive. This in 2016, when this was approved, the Regional Water Quality Control Board of California, our district, I believe it's District 5, right, Danny? Essentially has strict requirements regarding stormwater management. And so back then, 2016, and some of the developments that we started seeing, such as the one on San Benito Extension by Union, we started seeing some of these essentially ditches, these basins for stormwater management. And so since then, we started noticing that we tried our best to landscape and make them look as attractive as possible, but however, they're not the most pleasing, aesthetically pleasing sites in the city. Since then, technology has been improving, and now there are underground stormwater mechanisms that can treat stormwater. And so, one of the reason why we bring this up is if it is the desire of the Planning Commission, even though the park area is in close proximity, this can serve as a potential, underground stormwater management mechanism and have maybe on a top, not necessarily a park because of the proximity to the existing parks, but maybe some open space landscape area with some benches for people to walk and be able to have maybe a little picnic or so. If it is the desire of the Planning Commission, this is something that at this time, for the request of the extension, can be implemented if so desired. At the Development Review Committee meeting, most of the Development Review Committee was in favor of this change. It wasn't a part of the draft resolution because we want to get your take on it. But I know there were some concerns in regards to maintenance, but it doesn't have to be something that needs to be maintained. With a lot. Depending on what's planted and how it's designed, it should be something that should not require a lot of maintenance if it's a desire of the Planning Commission. We do also, before finishing the staff report, want to address your attention to condition number 5 of the attached draft resolution. And condition number 5 talks about water sampling devices. This is one of the new conditions that since the adoption of the tentative map back in 2016, we've been trying to add to developments, essentially requiring water sampling devices for the city staff, utilities to be able to go and sample for water quality, and so we just want to make sure, as stated, is fine. However, we would like to make some minor changes. Essentially, and I'll just read it off. It's very similar, but just for the purpose of clarity, the senior engineer Danny has asked if we can just for clarity purposes. Change it slightly to say that the developer shall provide water sampling devices and enclosures. The devices and enclosures shall be designed and shown on the improvement plans for review and approval by the city engineer. It's just a slight change to the draft resolution, and if it is a will and desire of the Planning Commission to request a underground stormwater mechanism to the current detention pond, we can add that as a condition as well. And so with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the project request and consider approving the draft resolution subject to the conditions contained in the draft resolution and with the changes to condition number 5, and if it is the will of the Planning Commission, with the addition of the modification to the storm detention lot. Are there any questions for staff?
Thank you, Abraham. Questions?
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple questions, clarifications here. Since we are looking at the extension of time, so we can review the project. On the La Brisas Park, you said that's like 1/10 of a mile away?
That is actually 0.2 miles to Las Brisas Park. Yeah.
So in these performance overlay zones where we're looking for amenities on site, if it's within a certain distance of a park, then they're granted. You know what is that distance? What is on the books now?
Right now, it's and it's always at the discretion of the Planning Commission. But my understanding is that what's in the books now is that there should be 1 acre of park per every 1,000 people. That's what's in the books now.
Oh, I thought there was a geographical. I thought there was a distance.
I believe that it also indicates, and right now with we're updating the plan as well. I believe that no property shall be further than a half a mile away from any park. I recall something like that. Yeah, I'll have to check, but I believe it's half a mile. No property within the city limits that's being considered for development should be within over a half a mile from an existing park. Mm-hmm.
And then comments on the detention area. We've kind of struggled with this because a lot of times it's just kind of percolation areas and rocks, and kind of it's not very compatible to a play area or a sitting area. But now you're saying the technology is improved a little bit, where they're doing underground water storage or
That's
treatment. So now that we can do these amenities and have a slash detention area, kind of pocket park. It works better with the new technology. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct, Commissioner Hugo. And Danny Hillstock, our senior engineer, can speak a little bit more into that if you desire.
I'd very much like to hear Danny speak to that.
Hi.
Danny.
The underground chambers that Abraham's talking about, what they do is they place a device underground. It's surrounded with either a drain type rock, 2.5 inch or so drain rock or something. You can also put in things like dry wells or something to force percolation and treatment through the ground. A lot of times, what you're speaking to is some of the detention basins that actually don't perk out and they start to look ragged over time. Yeah. This technology is pretty good. Abraham was speaking about the maintenance that comes along with these underground chambers. Actually, the maintenance is not that bad. You have to revisit them every maybe 5 to 10 years, depending on the type of device that you got. So you may get something really beneficial out of it.
Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
If I may, I believe the FAMI project is proposing a park that has underground storage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great use of land. Can't have enough parks in the community.
Yeah, and I will comment too that with Chispa Developments, we do have those underground chambers, and they've worked very well.
That's great.
I did have a quick question on the water sampling devices. Where are those? Where are those? Are those in the water meters, or where?
No, what they're going to be used for is for drinking water sampling. Depending on the type of test we have to run on our drinking water system, sometimes we have to go to the homeowner's spigot to pull water, or we have to pull samples out of a hydrant. What this will allow for is a water sampling port with a cage enclosure similar to our backflow preventers, so that our water operators can go and pull their samples without going up on private property or going to a hydrant to pull water. It's secure, and these things would be designed and made part of the improvement plans. So the actual locations, as we go through the plan review process, like we locate our fire hydrants and things, we would locate, you put one sample port on this street, you put another one over there. As
so it's tied to the mains primarily then?
That's exactly what it's tied to the main.
Okay, thank you. Any additional?
I did have, I'm sorry, Commissioner Valdivia. I did have, just curious, I know it hasn't been addressed. I know you've gone through the project parameters and all that, but the actual reason for the extension really wasn't clear to me. Is there any comment that you may have?
Absolutely, Commissioner Huboy. So the City of Hollister Municipal Code allows for a subdivision to be approved for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, the subdivision expires, and the applicant will have to reapply. There is an option that the municipal code allows for an extension of 1 year, as long as they provide a reasoning for it. And in this case, it's they want to get their financials in order to be able to then give them an extra year to provide a final map to the city council and be able to get that going and then ultimately develop. The Subdivision Map Act, State of California Subdivision Map Act, actually also has sections within that can potentially allow for automatic extensions as well. In this case, it is consistent with the Hollister Municipal Code, where it indicates that it can ask for an extension. However, the extension has to be also approved by the City Council. In the past, there has been other projects that have been automatically extended without having to come. I'm sorry, has to be approved by the Planning Commission. In the past, there has been other automatic extensions on other projects that have allowed for automatic extensions without having to come to the Planning Commission. For example, there was previous, in the Subdivision Map Act, a previous ordinance allowed for an automatic extension if, for example, the city where the approved subdivision was at had a moratorium. So the time that the moratorium lasted, that time would not count to the 2 years of the approval. There was other sections that indicated that if because the economy was going through a recession, State of California has indicated that if the project was approved by this date, then it automatically has another 3 years extension. In this case, there was no automatic extensions. Where they didn't have to come back to the Planning Commission. The Subdivision Map Act indicated that they can do an additional year as long as the Planning Commission was okay, or the city's jurisdiction was okay, and that's why we're here before you today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. No additional questions. We'll open up for public comment at 6:45. Do we have any speaker cards, Brian?
We do not.
Okay, we'll close it at 6:45. Bring it back to the commission. What is the pleasure of the commission on this item?
Well, I guess I'll certainly, just to make a motion to approve the extension of tentative map 2016-2.
Yes.
And with the, that includes revision to condition number 5 in terms of the water sampling devices and closures, as mentioned.
How about the open
Storm
space?
chambers.
Yeah.
And with the inclusion of the storm chambers, you need that as included in that motion?
Very
Yes.
well.
Okay. And I'll second that motion. So,
Question.
I know I'm doing it out of church. I'm the property owner. And to be honest, I wasn't informed of this whole meeting until 5:30 when Jason told me to call me. But I got a question on two things that I know I don't have the speaker card or anything. But being that this underground water storage on that retention pond is now something I just heard about, as well as this water testing thing. My water is tested every year from, like, that Sunny Slope water is tested every year for that. Why is the city of Hollister retesting Sunny Slope water? And my second question is, if we have a big rainstorm, this underground retention pond, where does the excess water go that this underground thing cannot handle?
okay, so do we want to open up a public comment period again?
It's up to you. Yes.
Pleasure of the commission. Do we open this back up again? Council?
You can do that by motion.
Okay, do we have a...
Go ahead and
Motion, okay.
reopen the public hearing.
All right, so we will reopen it at 6:40.
Well, you need to have a second on that motion, and then a
second.
vote.
Okay, I'm sorry, we do have a
Yes,
second. All
I'll
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring that up. And if we could get a speaker card filled out, if you have any additional comments. So let's address those. Obviously, the noticing was done, Abraham, for this item.
That's correct, Chairman. You can go ahead, and then we can give it to you after. That's fine.
Yes.
So,
Can you state your name, sir?
Bob Cutts, 1051 Hillcrest.
Thank you.
So yeah, my first concern, and I'm glad he's here. When we had last month, the 3 1/4 inches of rain all at once with the blacktop and that area has been prone to flooding, especially from the water that has come down in previous years down Old Bonnie View and Highland Drive. Now that Del Curdos have put their stuff in, that shouldn't be as much of a problem, but it is a natural slope that way. I'm just curious about how much water then can this underground system retain, and if it is a 3.5 inch storm, does that retention pond water then, is it hooked up to the storm drain then on Hillcrest Road? Is that where it runs into?
Regardless if you use a drainage basin or an underground storage, your engineer will design the facility to capture a certain storm. So if the storm was, say that it was a theoretical storm of a 25-year to design a facility to capture that storm, that facility would have to be designed to capture that storm. If you had a 100-year storm come in, a 25-year facility would be overran. So it would be no difference if you were using a detention basin or an underground detention basin, if that answers your question.
So, well, above ground, I can see a pipe coming in, a retention basin, and a pipe going out. An underground system, there would be, I guess, a pipe coming in, rock, and then a pipe going out?
There could be an overflow device, but again, that would be up to your civil engineer to design that. He may want to design it with dry wells to force more water. It depends on whatever your drainage calculations would show.
Part of my concern about this plan is that living there over the years, because I live next door to where I grew up, it's like 2 feet of topsoil and then it's clay.
Understood.
And my parents, when they built their house in 1951, their leach line for their septic tank was a 50-foot shaft that the water wouldn't drain, and they eventually had to put in a second leach line because that sewage water, even going down 50 feet, it wasn't able to drain.
Yeah.
And my concern is putting an underground system, hoping that it's going to drain. At some point, that water is going to go somewhere. And is it going to, my guess would be that either the house, the Nichols residence on El Cerro, or the Peller residence are going to wind up getting this water.
Yeah,
Isn't that a study with the greening and drainage plan that will come subsequent to this?
Absolutely.
That these are technicalities that it's not really the purview of this commission.
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, see, part of my problem is, being that this was all last minute notice for me, I don't even have my engineer here. I mean, these are questions I could have presented to him, but this, I came here assuming that I would get my extension based on what's already been approved. And now I'm told that there's an underground system with now also a park, which, okay, it probably would look better than the pit, but also this water retention or this water testing thing as well. I don't have the engineering background, I was a UPS driver. So, I've been really caught off guard, to say the least, on this. And I don't know whose fault it was that I didn't get anything in the mail, but, it was Jason Noble calling my engineer saying, and my engineer saying, gee, I don't think I'll have to be there tonight because, they should give you an extension. And, yeah, you guys are either going to give me an extension, but now I have other conditions to it. I can't even make a logical argument on why, hey, you should keep it a retention pond. See what I'm saying?
I'm a little bit kind of perplexed how you got it so short-circuited on this. I don't know what your options are, but at this point, can he withdraw this?
So, no, at this point, what you can do is if there's a request for a continuance of this matter, then that's one way to do it, and you would still be able to rule on the extension within the time frame. I think it lapses in May, so there's plenty of time to conduct this hearing at a further date, so that the applicant has further time to discuss the issue, the proposed changes and conditions, and then you can make a motion to continue the hearing to a new date.
Is it possible to make a motion to continue, or we could make a motion on the extension and then disclude condition number 5?
That's at your option as today as well.
Mr. Chair?
I would think I would like to allow the applicant time to work with their engineer and then probably just move this item hopefully to the next meeting.
Yeah, to continue.
Yes, to continue this until the
So
next.
that
planning
would just
commission meeting.
postpone it, so I can come back next
Correct.
month.
And then we can revisit your continue
And
So-
time extension request, and also you can have time to review these technicalities with your engineer.
Right, and I'm confident your engineer by that time should have some pretty good samples of what some of the other.
And it could be very simple
Yeah.
answers that, but
Right.
like I said, I've never heard of any of this stuff before, and,
Okay.
you know,
Thank you.
all right?
Yeah.
Well, at least you made it to the meeting.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
At least you made it to the meeting.
I mean.
So I want to officially, so if there are no other speakers, we'll close that public comment period at 6:55, bring it back to the commission. And I will actually make a motion on this item to continue it to the March, next planning commission meeting in March.
22nd.
22nd. Okay. And do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. All right, let's move down to item number 4, 1001 4th Street, Site and Architectural Review, number 2016-9. Stuart Fahmy, the applicant, received approval of a tentative map and conditional use permit for a planned unit development during a duly noted public hearing of the City of Hollister Planning Commission on January 25th, 2018, for the subdivision of approximately 8.07 acres of land into 79 lots consisting of 40 single-family homes, 37 townhomes, 1 lot for a park area, and 1 lot for roads. The site and architectural review was continued from the January 25th, 18 Planning Commission meeting to consider the approval of the townhomes. The project is located at 1001 4th Street between 4th on North and Jan Avenue to the south and west of Westside Boulevard, further identified as San Benito County Assessor's Parcel Number 052 080 052 300 and 001 within the West Gateway zoning designation of the City of Hollister. CEQA mitigated negative declaration.
Mr.
Abraham.
Chair, before you have the staff report, I will disclose that even though I wasn't at the last Planning Commission meeting, my excused absence, I did have a meeting with the applicant, Mr. Fahmy and Ann Hall, for information only, just kind of going over the basic project parameters and procedures.
Okay.
That was it.
Very well.
Perfect. Everett?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. The applicant, Stuart Fahmy, California Land Development, received a tentative map approval along with the conditional use permit for a planned unit development of a subdivision of 8.07 acres located south of 4th Street, San Juan Road, west of Westside Boulevard, and north of Jan Avenue at the January Planning Commission meeting. The subdivision was for 37 lots fronting along the northern area for future townhomes and 40 single-family residential lots towards the southern portion of the site, towards Jan Avenue. The applicant also received a rezone and general plan amendment approval by the City Council in February for the southern part of the lot, because the lot is actually considered to be West Gateway, which would allow for a mixed use and a density that's 20 to 35 dwelling units per acre. The townhome area in the front meets the density. However, the southern area with the 40 single-family residential units proposed meets the density of 8 to 12 units per acre, so the general plan amendment was approved for a medium-density residential development there at the southern site. Southern part of the site. The Planning Commission at the January Planning Commission meeting had discussion in regards to the project, of course, approved the subdivision and CUP for PUD as mentioned, and ended up, I do want to mention that there is a proposed park as well. It's about a little bit under an acre, half an acre park that is placed, that is proposed on the western side in the middle, kind of towards the west of the property, and that.
Can you point that out on the general?
Absolutely, as you can see on the screen here, Commissioner Huboy, 4th Street is located to the north, and then we have the open space in the middle, and the intent there is that there is vacant land to the west of this site, and the intent is that when that vacant land develops, that the park is extended to the west and make it a much larger park. The discussion that part of the discussion that the Planning Commission had last month was in regards to the proposed townhome elevations. The townhomes are subject to a Saturn architectural review, and one of the concerns that the Planning Commission had is that because the area is within the West Gateway zoning district of the city of Hollister, and the city has designated the area West Gateway to have it more beautified. The city council approved a West Gateway beautification project, essentially from West Side Boulevard all through 4th Street and just west of Graff Road. And so one of the discussions was that the elevation should create a little bit more variation, to have a little bit more of a distinct variation, have a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, especially along 4th Street. The applicant took the comments and has since worked on revisions to the elevations. These are the previous townhomes that were reviewed. The side elevations previously were also another concern of the Planning Commission. Because they are townhomes, they are, and it's in the West Gateway zoning district, they are allowed a 0 lot line. And one of the concerns is that on the end lots where the 0 lot line, where the buildings were going to be at 0 lot line, well, because of building code, no windows can be placed on those walls that are in the 0 lot line. So even though we know that windows tend to break apart the wall so that it won't be so monotonous, even though windows are not allowed, Planning Commission wanted to make sure that they had some type of architectural features to these elevations, so they wouldn't be just solid walls, if you may. So the applicant took the comments from the Planning Commission and from staff and actually worked on the elevations and has provided revised elevations as in your packets and also as here in front of the screen. And so with these revised elevations, some of the comments were that they should have more of a southwestern Mediterranean, historic fabric to the elevations. And so if you may, elevation A, as indicated on the screen, would include a stucco cap roof at each end with the Spanish tower roof in the center. As you can see, elevation A is here, the first elevation on the screen. There would be two center windows on the second and third floors. You can see right here on the side, and 2 additional windows facing the front, but placed on the side on the first and third floor. That would include a wood trellis. So here on the first floor, you can tell on top of the window there's going to be a little wood trellis that makes to provide detail to the elevation. A Juliet balcony would be placed in the front of the center window on the 3rd floor. And the front elevation would also include stucco columns, tile insets, and a tile overhang over the 1st floor. Elevation B would include a Spanish tile roof with a Spanish tile overhang over the 2nd and 1st floor. 2 round windows would be placed on the 3rd floor at each end, facing the front, and a Craftsman-style window would be placed at the center of the 3rd floor facing the front, again with the Juliet balcony. And a Juliet balcony is more like a full balcony with very limited space. Just is more of an aesthetic look to the elevation. The front elevation would include stucco columns and decorative tile insets. A wood trellis would be placed over the window on the 1st floor as well to the side. Elevation C was one of the elevations that was proposed at the last previously elevations, and that was one elevation that was actually accepted by the Planning Commission as it being conforming to the standards that the city is looking for in the West Gateway. Just briefly, it would include a parapet roof with a rounded architectural design. You can see kind of here on the sides of the roof, and a shed tile roof at the center top of the 3rd floor. It would include a wrought iron Juliet balcony at the center of the 3rd floor in front of the arch top window. An additional arch top window would be placed at the center of the 2nd floor, and an arched entry at the 1st floor with an arch wing wall. You can see here as well on the side of the first floor. And then tile insets as well would be placed along the front elevation of the building. And finally, elevation D would include an arch parapet wall roof at the very top, as you can see. A gable roof with Spanish tile would be placed on the third story, as you can see here, where the indicator. An arch top window would be placed at the center of the third story with a wrought iron Juliet balcony. Arch furring would be placed on the second and third stories of the front elevation to provide a separate plane at the wall, approximately 6 inches from the surface. The arch furring is this detail here that kind of extends about 6 inches from the wall to provide that architectural feature, as opposed to like a plain wall. An arch entry would be placed on the first floor with an arch wing wall. As you can see here on the first floor, it's more of an arched entry, and then the arch wing wall at the side as well. Again, tile insets would be placed along the front elevation. The front doors of the elevation A and B are more of a rectangular entry, and we would want to make sure that these doors are designed as well with that historic look to them as well. And then elevation C and D are more of the oval-shaped doors, arch tops. The side elevation